You're listening to the Nothing Podcast with Nobody Important, where a group of nobodies speak to an actual somebody. And now your hosts, John and Frank.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm John.
I'm Frank.
And you are listening to the Nothing Podcast.
With Nobody Important.
And today we have a really fascinating episode. And I know we say that every week, but this time it's true.
Yeah, because it's really something we don't know anything about. It's a subculture.
Exactly. This week, our guest is a bear.
Right, and when you say a bear, you...
Obviously, I don't mean the animal.
Right.
I mean...
It's clawing at the ceiling fan.
Right.
No, we mean it's a gay man who's a bear.
Right. Beard,
yeah.
Flannels, the whole deal. But the thing is I know on this show we talk a lot about careers, and this is one of those situations where his career is also his lifestyle.
Yeah, his identity fueled the vision, I think, and the journey of his career.
Yeah, 100%. We get into what being a bear means. We talked about body positivity, and more so what being a member of a subculture means.
Right.
What it means to be part of a group.
Richard's basically taking over the world.
Exactly.
Right.
Pretty much. And, you know, it being Pride Month still coming now, this following weekend was World Pride Weekend. We thought it was important to shine a light on how important it is to be seen as a sub-community of our society.
Sure, and what it means to be authentic and to pursue who you know that you are.
Absolutely.
And to find like-minded individuals and to fight the power.
Exactly. And that's not to say that we didn't get stupid, because we sure did. We talked all about cartoon bears, honey, hibernating, bags of food in trees. We didn't talk about rooting through garbage because I thought it would be offensive.
Right.
But basically, we got into all that. And so learn along with us, because we didn't know too much about this. And now I feel like we know so much.
So much. We're practically experts.
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Our guest for episode 5 is...
Richard Jones, and I'm the CEO of Bear World Media.
Woof!
All right, here we are. Richard, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
This has been a long time coming. You've been a guest we've had in mind since the beginning of this, since it's been in its infancy.
In its inception,
yes.
We needed you.
I see. Well, I'm very excited to be here with you all.
Yes, and we're very happy to have you. So let's get right into it. Career-wise,
right.
What exactly are you? What do you do?
I run Bear World Media. I'm the CEO. I'm the founder of our main magazine, which is bearworldmagazine.com, which I founded 7 years ago. I took a step sideways when I brought on the editor, the guy called Robin Gray, who's the editor of Bear World Magazine now, and the two of us kind of run Bear World Media, together. I function as a kind of CEO. I go to a lot of panels. I kind of represent the fuller company. I negotiate stuff.
You're the face.
Yeah, I like the executive face of Bear World Media.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, what exactly, for our listeners at home,
here we go,
or in the car, or wherever they are, is Bear World Media? It's a magazine for
Bear World Media
creatures, bears.
Well, no. Do you mean Bear World Magazine?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we dive into Bear World Magazine. Yeah, it's an online magazine for the bear community, which is a subset of the LGBT community. It's predominantly men who are probably chunky/fat, generally have a beard, generally friendly, and we like to eat.
So where's the distinction between chunky and fat?
I
like, by the way, that you leaned into fat. You're not afraid of
no,
fat.
not at all.
Love
I mean, it's one of those terms where it depends on the person and what they feel about who they are. I mean, there's all kinds of things. There's a million definitions of what a bear is, because it's a million different kinds of bears. The iconic look is kind of a lumberjack who could be chunky, and generally you kind of have to have a beard to be defined as a bear. But everybody's playing with that now. I mean, you have bears who are women, you have bears who are very femme, who you might have, like Lady Bear is a drag queen out in San Francisco, has a full beard, but she's a drag queen, and that's great. Cool. So it's changed even since I began with Bear World Magazine 7 years ago. The kind of the definition of what that means is different to every single person.
So the bearded woman in The Greatest Showman?
Not necessarily.
Oh.
Because it depends how she defines herself.
Got it.
Well, this is her.
Could.
That's what she says. This is me.
This is me.
She defines herself as me.
Yeah, she happens to be a woman with an actual beard, and that doesn't necessarily mean she wants to be part of the bear community.
Got it.
I don't know. I mean, it's a fictional character, I think,
Right.
isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I hope so.
So no, but I mean, it's interesting because there are women who have real beards who have decided to grow them and just own that and be who they are. I think that's a little bit different. But I mean, it's all about body image, body positivity, being who you want to be, and not, the bear community kind of was born out of kind of a blue collar kind of bunch of gay men who didn't fit the ripped ad 21-year-old image that comes from all media, not just the LGBT media.
Right.
That kind of, you've got to be young, you've got to be thin, otherwise you don't belong. So that's kind of where it came out of, and kind of goes back to the 70s, really, where it kind of was born, if you like.
So you'd say that it's less of a preference. It's not per se as crude a term as to even say a sexual preference.
It can
you'd
be.
say sure, but you'd say it's a way of life in that
I mean,
there's more to it than that.
I mean, the beauty is it's as much as you want or as least as you want. I mean, some people go to every single bear run, every single bear weekend. Some people will dip in now and again. I go to less things than people think, purely because I'm too busy to get around the country to everything.
Right.
It really is. It's so hard to kind of really. It's like water. Once you try and grab it, it kind of you lose it. But all I would say is it's a huge community. I mean, there are 3 apps dedicated to the bear community, dating apps dedicated to the bear community.
Should we guess the names? This
What?
can go disastrously
I mean, you could
wrong.
guess.
John, why don't you start? And then Matt, and then maybe I'll go.
I'd say
Who's that bear?
Who's that? I'd say Honey Hive.
I like it, but it doesn't exist right now.
Oh, we're gonna make it, Danielle. We're gonna make Honey Hive an app.
Get on it, please.
Done and done.
Do you find that there are people who match the body image for someone who would be in the bear community but reject titles like that because they feel like it's pigeonholing?
Definitely.
Are they vocal about it?
Somewhat. I mean, yeah, you see them. There are people who look like an iconic bear but do not want to be known as a bear. I mean, that must be a struggle for them because everyone's going to put that title on them.
Right.
But again, I always say it's about what's inside your head. What do you feel about who you are?
Right.
And yeah, bear can be labeled as can be put out there as a label that people shouldn't use, let's say. But it's enabled a whole bunch of gay men to feel good about themselves. I mean, that's where it comes from.
Right.
When I decided or understood that I was a bear, I'd been in the media for a while, trying to lose weight, trying to be thin, trying to be tan, because I was in the media and you weren't going to get any
Let
jobs.
the record show he just pointed to both of us for tan and thin.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Can we get the lawyer back from next week? But, when I decided that I was going to kind of not follow that and grow a beard, and I was still in the media, and I started to lose weight naturally because I became happy.
Right.
So it was very bizarre.
Wow.
It's really all about acceptance,
yeah.
self-acceptance, and societal acceptance.
Yeah.
Totally. The self-acceptance is the biggest part. I mean, I've been the happiest as a gay man since I kind of realized that there was the bear community. I think I knew bears existed, but at the very beginning, I didn't know that it was a full community with bear weekends in Ptown where 15,000 bears will gather in July, or Lazy Bear in California. Or
What's Lazy Bear?
It's a gathering in.
We got to get into it. There's a lot of them.
There's a lot
Great
of these?
names.
Up in the Russian River, it's a gathering where there'll be parties and food and get-togethers and entertainment, all centered around a kind of a weekend away.
Do they put the food in nets up
nets
in the trees?
up in the trees, yes.
So that's so stupid.
That's why we're here.
And
Okay.
offensive. So here's the thing. It can't... anything that comes from us can't be offensive just because we're so
don't
stupid.
know.
I don't
don't
care.
know.
Don't worry.
So, but now I have a question
Yes.
in that you were talking about labeling, right? So when you describe yourself to someone as a bear, because there's a lot of people, there's a whole chunk of society that doesn't know that this kind of subsection exists. I've found it when talking about you and your husband and our friends, and I'll have to say he's a bear, like a gay bear.
Well,
do you
he's
find
not a
that
circus bear?
Right. Do you find that when you describe yourself, you have to say gay bear or just bear? And do people get confused? Like you're not a grizzly.
It
depends what context.
He's a human man.
He
I
comes in on a
understand
little
that.
tricycle.
What are you? I'm a bear.
Yeah.
Like a bear. No, but
bear.
It depends what context. Give me an example of where you think. What do you mean, like in a boardroom setting or what?
I know.
I guess it wouldn't come up.
John means when you order at McDonald's, you have to lead with that. I'm a bear. 10-piece chicken nugget.
It gets me to the front of the line. Let me tell you. You don't mess with a bear's food. That's the most important thing.
We have to stop asking offensive questions.
Oh, come on.
For instance, I'm going to cross off "Do you hibernate" off my list.
So, Richard, you don't have to answer this, but if you wanted to, I'm just asking for a friend. How much salmon does a human bear consume?
17.5 pounds. Yeah.
So this is a real question, not a stupid question. I feel like can I say lately? I don't know. LGBTQ visibility is skyrocketing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel that way. Maybe since the 90s, the 80s, I don't know. But on media, was the bear community like behind that? Did they lag behind? Was it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard to kind of pinpoint everything. I mean, I grew up in Britain, so the difference as to what was visible here. And I think something that's really interesting about visibility is that in Russia, when they had the whole problems of LGBT people having huge problems several years ago now, the bear community weren't. And I think the reason for that is that bears, certainly in Russia, they seem masculine, therefore they can't be gay. Whereas the Russians were seeing feminine men, or that, therefore they must be gay. So it depends what you talk about visibility for the bear community. Because we look like truckers, or we look like guys that mend your car, that kind of thing. We're
hiding in plain sight.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm being hugely sweeping, and I'm missing out all kinds of the people who don't look like that. But I think the visibility of the LGBT community in the last 10 years has brought all kinds of visibility for all parts of the community, in terms of like the trans community. People of color are getting more visibility, probably not enough, but it's growing everywhere. And I think as each bunch of rights we've got, does that much more visibility.
Do you remember a few years back, Rachel Dolezal, who is I think I might misspeak, but a white woman who identified as a woman of color and would put darker makeup on and have her hair a certain way, and she worked her way up to, I think, to positions of power in education, I think. And then there was a documentary on her, and then like the lid blew off it, and they were like, wait a minute, you're white. And people had a huge problem with this because she said, but I feel black, right? So my question to jump off of that is, have you ever met anybody who was like, no, I feel like I'm a bear, but they don't match that at all? Skinny guy.
Well, this is an interesting point, because the bear community is seen, or we label ourselves as being the most friendliest. And if you don't feel you belong in the LGBT world over there, come and play in our gang.
Wow.
So if you're 22 and skinny and you're like, I don't look like a bear, doesn't mean you can't come and hang out with us. Traditionally,
Yeah.
And we try and welcome everybody. And if you feel like you belong to the bears, again, it's what's in your head. You can come. If you go to like bear events, it isn't all 40-year-old fat guys with beards. It's everything from 20-year-olds through to 90-year-olds of all kinds of body types, because some may find bears attractive but aren't a bear themselves, or vice versa. And some people just think it's a great time to hang out. We have food, we have a great buffets and bars, and we're not frightened to just party, I guess.
I want to know, why is it important to have subsections, like the bear community, for example? Like,
I don't think it's important to have subsections, but I think they've developed. And I think it's developed through clickiness, through not looking the way you think you should look to be part of a gang. If you go into certain bars in various cities as a bear, you might not fit in. And vice versa. It's a hard one, because you're saying, like, why is it needed, or why... It's born from being excluded. I think that's
what I was gonna say. That was my thought, was that it was born from the community as a whole needing to find commonality within itself.
Absolutely. And I think that with the birth of the internet, where you can find people like you through various early on chat rooms, and now kind of all the different Facebook, etc., you can find people that you might, like a car club, like a whole bunch of people who love cars can find themselves all over the world. It's very much the same. Human beings are very tribal.
Totally.
And I think it's part of that. And you want to be where you're going to feel comfortable. I don't think it's anything. It's not even about sex. It's about, I feel I belong in that gang of people because they accept me for who I am.
Wow.
But I know there's bears. There's other animals too, right?
With the bears, do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have other names for people in our gang. Yeah.
Let's
you
hear
want to
them.
tell us them?
Yeah. So
He's looking around the room.
No, I know. I'm thinking, where do I start?
He's looking at
Avoiding-
my various pelts I have in the room.
The two easiest.
Antlers.
So a bear is kind of me.
Right.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old bear who may be chunky and beardy would be called a cub.
Okay.
Okay.
bear cub.
Obvious one.
Love it. The cutest. The cutest.
If
What?
you
The
if
tracks?
exactly
tracks,
right.
yeah.
If you're older and you have like a white beard.
Wait,
or
let's
white,
guess it. Older
White
bear with
beard.
I
white
can't
beard.
participate.
A
I know
grizzly.
the answers.
White hair.
A polar bear.
Well done.
Thank you.
The best.
The Asian bear community.
Panda. That's a panda.
They self-defined themselves as that. So
Right. You can't call him that.
Is it offensive?
No, that's the thing. They took on that name. You know,
Okay.
there are various groups that
They're owning it.
It's
Yeah.
good to know that these groups also have a sense of humor.
Oh, totally.
Because
Yeah.
that's, I don't assume they don't, but like, if you're a group of like chubby Asian dudes and you're like, hey, we're a bunch of pandas, that's a funny guy. Whoever said that first, it's a funny dude.
You know, right?
Yeah.
They party all night. They have dark circles around their eyes. It's
Yeah.
panda.
And then
They're always late.
if you're non-hairy and you're young,
This is me so far.
you'd be called a chaser.
A chaser.
Yeah,
not
'cause
even
you
an animal.
What am
you
I
chase
chasing?
after bears.
Got it.
He's a hunter.
Okay.
What was the other one? There was another one I was going to say. Oh, and if you're slim but hairy, you're an otter.
That's the
Oh
best
my
one.
God.
That's Danielle's favorite
You
one.
love shellfish. You crack
By
it on your
far.
stomach.
They sleep holding hands.
And
It's the best.
Wait, what's an otter? How do you say it
In
again?
my world, a slim, hairy guy.
Slim but hairy. Okay,
You
I
asked
get
what
it.
the animal otter.
I
I was like,
know.
I don't know how to describe it to you. I can take you to the zoo tomorrow if you want. So Frank is a chaser.
Could be, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be because he's.
Thank you.
But there's no. He's not like a Sphinx cat or something where it's like a hairless.
Oh, like a hairless cat.
He doesn't
They
get
have-
to be an animal. He gets to be.
If he self-defines as that.
What kind of animal would Matt be? Looking at Matt.
Oh,
He,
I don't
He'd
want to
be-
say. I think I'm
he'd-
surrounded by bears right
he'd be
now.
more bear. He doesn't have a beard, but he's more of a definitive bear.
What am I?
Bear.
I'm a bear. I'm not even a cub. Damn,
How
I'm
old
past
are you?
my cub.
How old
age.
are you again?
30.
No.
You're
I'm a
skirting the
bear.
line there. You're
I'm a
skirting the
bear.
line.
What about Danielle? What's Danielle?
Goldilocks?
Oh my
right.
God.
She's with 3 bears.
Danielle, that's right. Danielle, we always refer to
Wow.
Danielle as Goldilocks because she hangs with bears.
That's true.
That's
Yes,
Cool.
absolutely.
Wow.
I've known that for a long time.
Easy peasy, that one.
I like that. It's funny that you say that everybody has subsections, but I was thinking of it this morning, and I feel like I feel like it's weird even to say the straight community. That's weird.
It's-
Doesn't have really subsections, do they? Like if there's a dude who's like really, I'm into Asian chicks or whatever. What's he called? I don't know. What's he?
But I think the subsections emerged from being disenfranchised.
Right.
Does that
Exactly.
sound
Yeah,
horrible?
absolutely.
No,
that's right.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then, you know, if you're growing up straight, all the straight guys, you're all potentially buddies, or potentially could be playing golf at the golf club or playing football at you know, the gay. I can only speak as a gay man, but as a gay boy, you kind of get excluded from that.
Right.
So you end up drifting towards I mean, it took me years to find it, but you know, drifting towards what the bears.
I also was thinking about this morning the term straight. I don't think I like it.
What would
Well,
you
I
like
can't-
to be?
Yeah.
Because I feel like, what does that indicate? That if you're gay, you're like wiggly, like wavy. What is it, like straight?
Well, I
Why
think,
straight?
Well, I think I don't speak to any science or real research here, but you know, there was a term for gay people as being bent. So you're straight, I'm bent.
I think we should outlaw it.
Well, I
Time
mean,
for
it's
that-
not- it's
time
not a
for the
term that
straight
people use.
Word to go.
Right. That was an insult. Get bent. Right. That was the thing. people
I
said.
mean,
I don't know if those are correlated. They might be.
so much of this of the words have been used as, you know, as you said, to insult, but then we kind of grabbed them back and own them now. So.
Well, I'm
Right.
getting rid of the word straight.
Well, what are you going to change
So
it
what do
to?
you identify as?
I don't know. Binary? Is it
As opposed to non-binary.
non-binary? I don't
No,
know.
you're not non-binary.
Love how you don't own.
I would say you are
non-binary?
binary. You're right. You are binary.
I guess, yeah. I guess you are.
Crazy.
So in the bear community, as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of like meetups and get-togethers and events, which we were talking about before this. Is so amazing that it's a whole world that takes place that it seems ignorant to say like happens under the radar. It doesn't happen under the radar, but it's just like before walking in this room, like Matt or Frank wouldn't have known that those types of get-togethers and meetups happen.
He's right.
But I have learned, and through being friends with you and John, your husband, that they have some pretty amazing titles. Can you tell us what some of these events are called?
Okay, we'll start with the biggest in the country, which is Ptown Bear Week. So that's a full week in Provincetown around the 12th of July, depending, you know, some people come for the first weekend, some for the second, some for the whole thing. And it's somewhere between 10 and 15,000 bears will come from America and around the world to attend multitude of parties, pool parties, get-togethers, dining, going out in the sea on a ship, all kinds of things. You've got North American Bear, World Bear Weekend. You've got TBRU, which is Texas Bear Roundup. You've got Lazy Bear. You've got International Bear Convergence in Palm Springs.
That's like they're like doing psychic brainwaves at each other. Bears converge.
There's a lot out there. Bears, Bikers, and Mayhem, which is in its 10th year.
It's an underground musical in the East Village.
Yeah, that's in its 10th year now, which is crazy. I remember it starting. So it's we like to go away and find our space and have fun.
But part of what you do is combat that lack of awareness I was talking about before, right?
Totally.
Which takes us to the magazine as a whole, and so you created Bear World magazine.
I did.
When about? You mentioned it earlier.
I created the first edition was in September 2012, and back then we were what I call a PDF magazine. So we designed it as if it was going to be printed, but we didn't print. We put it on the screen, and you could pretend to turn the pages or swipe it up on your cell phones and stuff. So that was the first time I began working on it in April that year. So from April to September was a huge amount of research. I knew some stuff, but I just hoovered every bit of info. That's when I learned about Ptown Bear Week, and there's some great guys out in California called Modern Bear who created a book. They do interior design. They're really into mid-century modern, and they were great. They really helped. They really kind of took me under their wing and helped me find out about stuff, find writers from all over the world. That was how we started. A few years later, we then became a website. We kind of didn't design. We became what I call a news website. So you can just access it for free. News stories go up every day.
This is a lifestyle magazine?
Yeah. So, and I call it a lifestyle magazine for a really good reason, is because it isn't porn.
When an important difference.
It's like Better Homes and Gardens.
Kind of. I mean, we have a thing because we're all about body positivity. So we do show people with their tops off because we believe that everyone's body is great. And if I don't think a body's great, doesn't mean somebody else won't think it is. So everyone has that. So we have a Bear of the Week. And generally it's people's with their pictures from their apps. And you're generally going to see them either, in shorts or with a top off. But that's the limit of it. We'll show a bear butt in a beautiful photography set.
BARE or BEAR?
Both.
You mean a bear butt?
A BARE butt.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay. Oh, but it's also a BEAR.
Occasionally.
Okay.
We're not
Semantics.
frightened. We're not frightened of showing the body, but we don't promote porn.
Right.
Not against it. People do it better than we do, and we've chosen our kind of.
That's not your lane. Right.
It's not our lane. Yeah. We talk about bear events, dining, buying stuff. We promote cars, all kinds of things. Very typical lifestyle stuff.
Even off the path of being a bear per se, but even if a bear writing.
Yeah, I think when I look back on how we started, when I first did Bear World magazine, it was like bears for bears who wore plaid and did bear things and only did bear things and whatever. 8 years later, we're talking about drag race. We're promoting other events. There's now female bears. There's things that the world itself has changed, and just because you're a bear doesn't mean you don't like traveling or dining or buying.
It's more content.
I've grown with the magazine. When you look at the magazine's early days, it's kind of me as an early bear, and I've kind of grown with it. And then a few years ago, handed over to Robin in England, who really has shaped it into what it is today. So.
Wow.
So yeah.
How many? What do you call them? I guess how many editions you put out a year? No, that's not.
Well, we don't do editions now. We're daily, so we try and get
daily
2 or 3 stories a day. It's on a website, so it's just posting them like you would see on a regular news site. But it's 2 or 3 stories a day, depending on what's going on.
Wow, even Christmas and New Year's.
We're very clever. You have bots that you can put its stories in and switch it on the 23rd and take 3 days off, and the stories will push through.
Right. Yeah. Well, what do you think? I'm up at 6 a.m. posting these episodes?
I was hoping you were.
I am not.
Danielle's shaking now.
He's in dreamland.
Yeah. I wake up 3 hours later, people listen to it. So now what I want to do is I think that we often ask people on our show to rate stuff. And, we gotta change it up a little bit.
Come on.
So I think what we're going to play with you is we're going to play a little game we call Hot or Not. Okay? You tell me if you feel that the bear or bear concept we're throwing at you, you'd
Hot
be
or not?
in favor of, or
Hot, as in I find it attractive. Hot.
It's up to
let's
you.
not pigeonhole. But we won't define exactly what hot means, which is it's just a clever
people
title.
or concepts you're throwing at me.
Well,
Yes.
I can't spoil. Yeah, exactly. Yes. you
Okay,
can't spoil.
all right.
Open
I'm
your
here.
damn mind.
I'm here for it.
Richard.
Then I like to know where
Don't
I'm
put us
starting
in a
from.
corner.
Come on, throw it at me then.
Here we go. Survival expert Bear Grylls.
He's kind of hot to look at, but I don't care for him.
Okay.
Yogi Bear.
Oh, hot.
Hot. It's the hat and the tie.
It's everything.
Yeah.
About it. I remember him from.
And he's got Boo Boo.
Boo Boo's the best.
He's
bear.
got
the
a cub.
at
He's got
this
a
point?
cub.
Yes,
Exactly.
he does.
Ranger
Exactly.
Joe.
Ranger
is-
Joe, the chaser.
He's the chaser.
Okay, here we go. Richard, the bear necessities.
Hot.
Good.
Hot bear necessities. And on that point, Baloo.
Exactly.
So you like Baloo?
Well, who doesn't like Baloo?
Or you must like Little John from Robin Hood because they're the same exact character with the same exact animations.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Well,
Yep.
well done.
This is a little creative license here, but Bert and Ernie.
Oh God.
Now, well, it's interesting.
But there's a lot here for you to chew
There's
on.
a lot there. Lovely Bert and Ernie. I mean, it's the Muppets / Sesame Street, right? So you can't really take them down. If they self-defined as a bear, maybe we'd say
I'd
they're
say
hot.
Ernie would be more the bear, if anything.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, Snuffleupagus is definitely a bear, but that's neither here nor there.
Is he?
I mean, look at him. Look at
I
those
saw him in-
eyelashes.
I
Look at
saw
those
him in
eyelashes.
Ptown the other weekend. Snuffleupagus.
He
was
in
he was on the ferry. Okay. Is
He
there
had-
a ferry?
he had little
Right,
shorts.
Sure is a ferry.
I
Of
know,
course
I've
it's
heard
a
about the
ferry.
ferry. Yeah, it's ferry.
You've been, haven't you? I
No,
can tell.
I do. I've heard about this.
He had little shorts with the tail coming out. Can I ask you a question? A little deviation, real quick.
Go for it. It's your show.
The Bert and Ernie thing.
Oh, I'm on air or am I this private?
This is on air.
Okay, go on.
Again, they're not going to hear this.
Because they're made of felt.
That's right.
What are your concepts on that? How do you feel about the Bert and Ernie thing? People, every 6 months, it feels like there's an article where somebody goes, Bert and Ernie are gay.
Right.
I mean, I get why it would matter to
then-
some people, but like,
There's two ways of looking at it. People say, well, they're just soft toys. Well, then take all the sexuality and coupling of all the other soft toys out in the world, in stores and everything else, and that's fine. And then I'm with you. But if you're going to create characters in a kind of cartoon or an animated way that are kind of like Bert and Ernie, and I can't think of them because I haven't seen anything for a long time, but you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, you can't talk about them having a sexuality because they're just puppets, but then you've got puppets. I mean, isn't there a sexuality between the two band members in the Muppets? Isn't that kind of a
yes, there are. Yeah.
And you've got
Janice
Miss Piggy
and Floyd,
having
yeah.
a relationship with Kermit all these years.
That's
so
true.
you can't have it both ways. Is all I would say. Make a
Right.
choice. If you don't want sexuality in puppets that are aimed at children, I'm fine with that. But then it's for nobody. But I think actually what the reason why it's important is you will have young people who are struggling with their sexuality seeing that, and it might give them some hope for the future. And that's really where I come from with it.
Well, Richard, before we started recording, you told me that you had a theory that Grover was gay. Can you back that up, please?
Oh,
Gay or not gay?
bisexual.
Good.
That's fair.
That's what we were thinking.
That's fair. No, I don't know. I the Bert and Ernie thing is tough. I don't. My thing is if you need to see it that way, see it that way. If it means something to you to see it that way, listen. I know because I'm me that they weren't intended to be anything particular. They're just two characters to show a relationship between two friends. If you want to see it as whatever you want to see it as, that's fine. There's a writer who said he wrote them that way for a short while when he was on Sesame Street, and then Frank Oz will say that they weren't originally that way. So like it doesn't.
I think the difficulty with the Muppets and Bert and Ernie is they've been around for so long, and societal norms have changed through all of those years. So I think it's hard to kind of say they are or they aren't. And but I think what you said is if people feel that they are, that's great. But allow them to be. Don't to shut that off when you've got relationships with the other Muppets.
Right.
With that argument. It's just that argument I don't like, really.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, the crazy thing is, to me, they remind me more of like Laurel and Hardy, who
Right.
shared a room all the time, and
Right.
even English male double acts would, for unknown reason, present as fully straight, but are always sharing bedrooms
Right.
in
Sharing
sketches.
beds.
That's right.
Bert and Ernie, though, not a problem with it.
They have two
Exactly.
different beds.
Oh, I know nothing. Okay, moving on.
Yeah, I forget we're like in the presence of a Muppet expert
Yes.
as well,
Right.
so that's part of it too.
On that point, Fozzie Bear.
Oh, Fozzie Bear. Well, it's funny because didn't they play with some humor around the bear community when they brought back the Muppets recently?
They sure did.
Which
They
I think
sure
we all
did.
kind of went, "Aw," you know.
Yep. He said Fozzie Bear had a line in the 2016 series that he was on a dating site, and he said you get a lot of unexpected responses when you put yourself on a dating site and label yourself a bear.
Really?
That is what he said.
That's
yes.
hilarious.
It's brilliant.
That's
I
funny.
mean, yeah.
Bear burger.
Well, eaten there many times. Spelt wrong, but
So
yeah.
is it hot or not?
Oh, it's hot.
Okay.
How about the Charmin bears?
Oh,
We know they're clean.
excellent, John.
Oh,
We know they're clean.
Very clean.
They're Charmin clean.
Well, I'd say hot.
Yeah, well,
We need them. We need them so that we
and
can't
they're
get
a
rid of them.
family. And
Exactly.
It's family values.
Exactly.
A family that wipes together.
Okay. The Klondike Bar polar bear silhouette.
Well, that's a really interesting one. You bring that one up because I'm going to say hot, and just clue you in that there's a group of female bears that call themselves the Klondikes.
Wow.
Man, they're
I
better at
love that.
wordplay than we are.
You should see Danielle's face. Danielle's ready to identify as a Klondike right now. She's like,
So good.
I mean,
Genius.
the interesting thing is that you now have parts of the lesbian community who want to identify as bears and play in our gangs, and there's so many people that are up for it. Because I was a judge on last year's North American Bear, and one of the titles was Miss World Bear, so we now have a Miss World Bear.
I love that.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah.
pretty
That's
amazing.
inclusive.
Exactly right.
Matt's got one?
How do you feel about Smokey the Bear?
Oh, Smoke! Isn't he the one that's on the posters to make sure you don't light fires? And
Yeah, prevent forest
well, he's
fires.
hot by several definitions. Perhaps.
Wow.
Because he's always surrounded by fire. How about, this is not a bear, but I would say, if it was me, I would say hot. Chewbacca?
Ooh, science fiction bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, you can't go against.
That's good.
Thank you.
The bears love their sci-fi and very geeky, so I'd have to say hot.
Okay.
On their behalf.
Duncan Sheik, and I am barely breathing.
Oh, God.
It was a stretch to get there, but so let's just go with Duncan Sheik.
0 for that one.
I
Not
guess.
hot. 'Cause
I
I don't know
know.
what
I
you're,
thought
I
it
don't know
was
what you're on
great.
about.
No,
so.
we
Listen
don't
to
like...
the song, Richard. It's a great song.
So I'm going to use this as a jumping off point. I'm going to ask you, because I tried to think of, I didn't want to give you just cartoon bears, because you guessed, was it 2 days ago that we were going to do that? And I said to Frank this morning, it's fairly pedestrian,
I
apparently.
mean, I have been listening to the show, so I
Right,
kind of
you
guessed.
knew
I
what
guessed what was
direction.
coming at some
it.
points.
We're starting to lose our edge.
They're onto us.
But I was trying to think of actual big guy celebrities that would fall, like mainstream celebrities that would fall into the bear category, and I came up with 0.
Oh.
None. I
Yeah.
couldn't think of any.
Yeah,
I mean,
John
literally
Goodman.
on my list is Dom DeLuise. That's
Well,
it.
Richard, are you attracted to Dom DeLuise?
I mean, I am. That's
I
so
mean, I'm not particularly, but you just said him just now, John Goodman. John Goodman is you talk to a bear group about John Goodman who are a bit older, who remember him being on the TV when they were a bit
Oh,
younger.
yeah, he's all plaid.
King Ralph, baby.
right.
Exactly. He is an iconic looking bear, and I think it was only one episode where he had a beard. So that's the episode that everyone loves. Plus, he always had a Cubs like shirt or hat on at different stuff. So he was into the Chicago Cubs. So there's a lot
Wait,
of
that helps? Being a Cubs fan helps?
It's just the word.
I'm
I
a
think.
Cubs fan. Does that?
See, look-
That's a notch on my bearness.
You should have been a fan of the Bears.
Right? Yeah. Does Chicago have a lot of bears?
Right.
Because they have 2 bear-based teams.
And Oprah.
Yeah,
What?
I would say they do.
Oprah lives. Didn't she live in Chicago? She do something there.
She's really important.
Laugh into the microphone, Matt, so people know that's funny.
That's a legitimate question.
I'm trying to think who the kind of the actors are, but again, in Hollywood, you can't be big.
Right.
It's only really recently that big people or very specific people like John Goodman have had the careers as being big people.
James Corden.
James Corden lovely James Corden. If you watch here, he's like an honorary bear because he is a straight man, but he is so aware of the LGBT community, the LGBT fan base.
Completely,
He did a
yeah.
whole thing around Pride a couple of years ago where he got a whole bunch of actors. And they did, what is it when you take the chair away, you go around? Musical chairs for Pride in Los Angeles a couple of years ago. He was just on RuPaul's chat show, and his favorite things are show tunes. And so we'd have him as an honorary bear, perhaps. But I'm I'm trying to think of who the actors are. This is
It's
where I like to
tough.
do my research, and I could have given you 10 names, but
Well,
it's
sorry about that.
but I think it's interesting that they're not right at the top of my head,
Right.
because I'm really bad with names, by the way, but
But we can't think of him either.
yeah, it's what's interesting is if you watch some of the recent TV shows where there's a lot more LGBT representation, you are seeing bigger people, non-binary people, trans people. Tales of the City has just come back with its kind of take on the last book, and the LGBT representation in that storyline was fantastic because it really tried to show all shapes, sizes, sexualities that if they could define it in a TV show.
There was
Brilliantly.
a prequel to Tales of the City a long time ago. It was
Yes.
out. It had representation. It was called Tales from the Crypt. It was a corpse.
Oh God!
Oh, God.
Representing the dead.
Okay, enough. Danielle hated it. Danielle, anything?
I'm just amazed at how you say that they're, like, it all just so straight. And then
Yeah.
you break.
Danielle, we don't like the word straight. We're working away from that.
Fine.
We cancel that word.
Yeah.
If you were
Danielle's
listening.
fired.
But now, this is going to seem like a weird question, but it's not. This is something I'm asking. Are you really sensitive in that, are you often offended if your community is not represented properly? Or, because I know, and it sounds like a negative thing, but I'm not saying it as a negative thing, because especially with the social media, Twitter, everybody's up in arms if they need to be seen. Everybody needs to be seen, and that's a great thing. I'm not against it at all. But would you say that you, or the bear community in general, is more or less on that end?
That's a hard one. I can't speak for everybody.
Oh, of course, and this is
it's difficult for me because I am full of representation because that's what I do every day. I'm
Right.
creating Bear World Magazine and creating the representation and trying to very much. It's interesting that we wrote about a TV show a couple of years ago, and because of the 5 gay men that were in it, one of them was kind of like a hairy cub. That gave us an in to write about that show. If it had been 5 skinny gay guys, that isn't really what Bear World Magazine is about. And if they'd sent us a press release, it's not that we wouldn't have done it, but we could interview that guy, and that gave us a kind of an in. So it depends what that representation is. And again, so much television is different from even 5 years ago with Pose. The representation that they're bringing is phenomenal. I've seen shows that have had like big men in them. There was Two Broke Girls had a character for a while in the bakery class who was a big guy with a beard. They made him a bit feminine, but that was a choice the director made. But that's representation. So it depends. I think the other thing is that because Hollywood and the modeling world are all about skinny people, bigger people are not confident enough to step into that world because they don't think they belong. So even if you wanted to cast a whole bunch of bigger people, let's say, or bears, they're not necessarily on the modeling agency's books or with the agents because the world has not allowed them in yet. And I think that's changing a bit. But it's a hard one to kind of break that circle, I guess.
Yeah. See, but it's funny that I get it. It's weird to say I get it, but I get it because, and I told you this story, I know a guy who has had a crush on me for a very long time. He always tells me, and he always says, like, he'll see my sister and say, where's your big burly brother? And I said the other day, and I said it to him, that I am flattered more so than a lot of other people who've said stuff like that because, and I said this to Danielle, and it's not a knock at all on Danielle or our relationship or anything like that, but I said, it feels really nice to be sought after or for someone to be attracted to you because of your size and weight and look, and not in spite of your size and weight and look. And I'm not saying that Danielle loves me in spite of my being fat, but
Danielle, 1 finger for yes, 2 fingers for no.
I'm just saying that it's nice though for someone to be like, I think you're attractive,
Sure.
because you look exactly like you.
It's affirming.
Absolutely.
Right.
But I think the craziness is that always exists. It's just never talked about. It's never presented in the media. We're told that we should be thin. We're told that you should be a certain weight, a certain look. And the craziness is that so many straight men I've talked to over the years love curvy women, prefer curvy women. And you're like, well, I don't understand where this is all coming from. Then, if straight men like curvy women, why are curvy women not on the front of magazines or,
Right.
more presented as being the ideal female kind of body or type, whatever. It baffles me.
So, do you hibernate?
There it is. There it is.
I tell you, I wish I could. I wish I could.
There.
I don't like to go out in the snow. Does that count?
So I want to ask you this. First of all, that's a great point. 100% great point. We clapped, and then we were like, "Nah, forget it." But no, it's so true. It is so true. I don't understand why the way a person looks, people expect to be so similar across the board.
But yeah, right. And the media is selling you an image, but the image has shifted because there was curvier. I'm going to say women though were embraced. What,
but that's
50
still
years ago.
But that's still not on the front of magazines.
Right.
It's not
Oh,
still
no.
in the advertising campaigns.
Right.
I mean, the model Ashley Gray, she's currentently the most famous plus size model, but she's not the biggest plus size model. She's just the most famous.
Right.
She's had MAC campaigns and different things, and she famously was on the front cover of Sports Illustrated, is it? A year ago, 2 years ago, in a swimsuit. That swimsuit sold out. Now, it didn't sell out because it was small to 6XL. It sold out at XL upwards for women.
Right.
And women want to feel good. And the image they showed was her as being beautiful on a beach or by a pool, and selling the image, selling the lifestyle, and it sold out. So what gets me is actually most of us are bigger than the 1% of the models who are like really skinny. Most of us are bigger than that. So I don't get why that's not the bigger image, especially when you can prove that it will sell. If you're talking about product specific.
Do you think that the tide is changing slowly?
It is a bit. I think there's a lot of things that happen as kind of one-offs.
Right.
And
like
I think,
novelties.
Yeah, and I think even with Ashley Gray, there's an ad that she did for I don't know what exactly it was. I want to say Mac or something, and forgive me if it's wrong. But John and I noticed watching it that all the other models got a lot more foot to head view. She was very much shot from the waist up. And it's interesting because she, particularly as the model that she is, she's very hippie. She has big hips. And we noticed that. I don't know whether anybody else would, but we're like, oh, they really made a choice not to, when everyone else got, full body shots in the commercial, but she didn't. That played very much going, what's going on with that director? We didn't want to show anybody from the waist down. But it's still a major campaign, and it's still her. So you kind of try not to knock it because it's brilliant representation.
Right, but it's not.
But what happened
there's
there?
some hiding.
But being a person in the media, would you say that the goal that we're hoping to lead towards is for, this is just an example, the term curvy woman or curvy girl to go away and it just be woman? I mean, and even for, but like bears choose to be like that subsection. Yeah. Or is the goal also just to be men? Like, why do we need the adjective?
Right. I don't think we can get away from it. I don't think.
It's a hard one when you're in the middle of it. I mean, in 200 years, when we look back at it and look and see the changes academically, that may be different. But when you're in the middle of it, I feel happier as a bear. I mean, I'm not somebody who I think lives and breathes, other than my work, the kind of bear culture, let's say. I mean, I could go to bear nights and bear clubs in New York all the time because I work with those people and they're very generous to give me, guest list to club nights and stuff. But it's all very late for me and I'm not a clubber and all that kind of stuff. So living as a bear, it means different things to different people. And I think again, we can really just go back to acceptance of your own self and what that means. Now,
for Bear World magazine specifically, you obviously have to get sponsorships or you have to have some companies have to advertise on your site.
That's how we make our money, yeah.
And so do you aim for like LGBT focused companies? Like, for example, as an example, if a company comes to you and says, I want to sponsor something on the site, does it have to be an LGBT strict company, or can it be if like Coca-Cola or like Chobani yogurt decides that they want to be a sponsor on the website, do you turn them down?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No, you'll. So, but
in that matter, if it's a big corporate, it'd be a case by case basis. Because if it's a corporate that I've discovered as CEO has donated to politicians who are anti-LGBT, I'd probably turn it down.
So obviously, you would look into the background of that company.
I think if they're a big corporate, it's there's things out there, and you get red flags, and It's a hard one because, you get the conversation about would you support a chain of hotels owned by a dictator in a far-off country who just wants to kill LGBT people. And you're like, the argument is not using his hotels may harm the livelihood of the LGBT people working at that hotel in a different country or in this country where,
Right.
So you really have to have a balance of what you feel personally. Most of the companies that we work with are small businesses. They're mom and pops. We know them. We build relationships with them. And that's, that then kind of cuts out that need to research big corporates. But if a big corporate came knocking on the door, I would look into it a little bit. I for my own self, I couldn't live with
hurt.
Chick-fil-A advertising with us. I couldn't.
But they're not
sleep at
looking
night.
for you either.
No, exactly.
Right. I mean, just for the record, we'll take sponsorship from anybody. I won't look into it. I promise I won't look into your background. It's just whatever. Just give me money. I'll look the other way. That's fine.
So,
do you have any acting experience?
Minimal.
You hosted a TV show for a while, right?
That's not acting.
Okay.
Believe
did you
me.
host?
We'll get into that.
Okay. So Matt came up with a great scenario this week.
Okay.
Matt, do you want to talk about it?
So I think our scenario that we're going to try for you here is you're going to be yourself.
Okay.
And we are going to be pitchers, not the baseball kind, but the magazine kind. We're going to pitch some story ideas for your magazine.
Right. We're contributing writers, and this is a meeting, and maybe you're a little angry.
I can act angry.
You've had a long day, and we're just a bunch of guys.
Bumbling fools. The deadline is coming up.
Right. We're going to give different pitches. Is that
Sure? I
Are
guess.
you changing your names at this point? Or?
No.
Okay.
No.
So
Are you ready?
yeah.
Okay.
We're going to knock on the door.
Always have to.
And
knock.
then, oh my gosh, this is so sexist. We're going to knock on the door, and your executive assistant is going to let us in.
Hello?
Hi, we're here to pitch to Bear World magazine.
Get them in. This has been a long day. Come on, sit down, boys.
He
Come on.
doesn't sound happy.
Yes.
What do you got for me?
Hi, I'm John,
I'm Frank.
and that's Rogelio,
I'm Rogelio.
and he would like to. So he's going to pitch his idea first to you.
Come on.
So I think we should do a story about picture frames geared towards bears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh.
And what makes those picture frames for the bears?
I mean, they're just regular picture frames. We're just going to put them in the magazine.
No, we're
I
not
think
doing
The
that.
beauty
Next.
of them is what you put in them.
Right.
Well, okay.
Right, we're going to put
As much
pictures-
you put into them is as much you get out of them.
That's right.
Oh. Go do a bit more work on that one, Matt. Bring it back to me.
Got it.
sometime.
I'm at Rogelio.
Yeah,
Oh, Rogelio.
It's fine.
Sorry, the guy that used to do your job was called Matt. I forget.
okay.
Yeah.
It's my turn.
Come on.
I'm a little nervous. I want to make a op-ed piece, I think, about
Okay.
beard balm and like really good ways to care for your beards.
Great, we can advertise around that. That's a yes.
But now, what makes it though? Because we're all in competition with each other. We forgot to say that before. What
Oh.
makes that specific to the LGBT community, Frank?
Well, because
I'm straight. I have a beard. What's the matter? I can.
Hold on, this is a bear magazine. Bears
is a
have
bear
beards.
magazine,
Matt
John.
got it right. Leave him alone. No, Frank got it right. Leave
No,
him
Matt
alone.
got it wrong. We know that.
Rogelio.
Rogelio.
All right.
All right.
I'm gonna pitch you this one. It's a story that is a news story that just happened, and it is about a guy in the wilderness who was stuck in the wilderness for a long time, and he has a beard and he's got flannel and the whole thing, and he literally ate only honey to survive. So he's a bear with also bear traits.
Right.
And I want to do a piece on him and finding the difference between being a human bear and an animal bear.
What's his name, John?
His name is Dreyfus.
I like it. Can we do a piece on recipes around different honey recipes?
Honey recipes.
that he could
Yeah.
lead, and we can make even a TV show out of that. I like
Absolutely. And we're going to call it Baskets and Trees.
Well, I forgot to tell you that my beard balm, there was more to it, but I was nervous. And
He's
my
trying
beard...
to steal my
No.
thunder.
I really think what you're doing here, John, is great. But I think the beard balm, what I was going to do was we were going to have a reporter in Provincetown. We were going to set up.
He's heading straight to Ptown.
Yeah,
I
the
like it, I
epicenter
like
here.
it.
We were going to set up some tables. We were going to do the samples. We were going to interview the people, and then we were going to also have a celebrity to pick the best beard. and they would obviously win a fabulous prize.
I like it.
And the celebrity, John Goodman.
And Dom DeLuise.
And
the ghost of Dom
Well, I'm going to say
DeLuise.
that if you can bring Dom DeLuise to Ptown, you that's a very big story.
Okay.
Oh,
Rogelio's got one?
Rogelio.
Hi. Working really hard. I think I got it.
Okay.
We're going to do picture frames.
And?
Okay.
That's it.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Who hired him?
Just for those of you who can't see at home, he just ran back in with a picture frame with a framed photo of a picnic basket. And I think it's pandering.
It's low.
pandering.
It's low. It's low.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And scene. Wow.
You boys.
Wow. That was
Do you
great.
think we have a shot to work for you?
If you can keep them ideas coming, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Even the picture frame idea?
No, not the picture frame.
Okay.
No, the picture frames is out.
No.
So, do you hibernate? I'm going to get that answer.
Richard, I just wanted to check with you. Most bears have 42 teeth. How many teeth do you have?
41.
But so the reason that we had you on, the reason we wanted to have you here is because, I mean, all the careers we've done in the past so far have been kind of interesting careers, and you do have a very interesting career, but also you represent a group in society. You're representing it here for us. I'm not saying that I'm putting you out there as the representation, but you represent a group in society that a lot of people don't know that much about, in my estimation. Now, your estimation, it's not that many people know about it. Everybody knows about it.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the funny thing is when I talk to people and try and explain what a bear is, I'll say, you probably know one. You just didn't realize it was that person you knew was called a bear, you know.
But you started the magazine because you recognized that the community wasn't being seen or represented in the proper way. And the fact that came to you to say, I can do something about this. Because I have friends who I tell them that I know the CEO of Bear World Magazine, and they say no. Like, they are starstruck by it. And that's I literally told someone you were coming, and he was like, can I come to the recording? Like,
is he cute?
Are you married, Richard?
Is there a name for
I'm allowed to look.
Is there a name for a ginger bear?
Ginger bear, like
That's
ginger
it.
bears are very, very like they're like gold dust in the bear community. People love the ginger bears.
He's a good looking guy.
Yeah.
And if he's listening to this, which he probably will be, good on you. But
Sorry, John.
that means that what you set out to do, at least in the smallest of ways, worked.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it's thrilling to hear. I mean, you know, all those years, it's been tough. You know, you're running a small business on your own for a while, and you do want to throw the towel in and walk away, and then you hear from somebody who said, thank you for existing. Then I could find out about meeting people like me, and that means there's so much. You know, you don't hear it all the time. You know, it takes some brave people who want to write in and tell you that personal bit about their life. But when you hear it, it's great. It's great to know that we made a difference somewhere in someone's life. That's really powerful. That's kind of why we're still here.
And now you've spun off into Bear World Media. Now, what does that mean?
Well, we learned a lot of lessons through Bear World Magazine in terms of who is not represented in media, and we felt there was a way we could create voices for that. One of the ones immediately is LGBT people over 40. If big people don't exist in media, well, people over 40 don't exist at all. So we felt that we could create a title which is called queer40.com. So it's aimed at the full LGBTQ community, but who happen to be over 40 years old, and the things that they're planning in their life and how they're living their life is a little bit different to how they would have done it 20 years ago. And again, it really reflects me again. I mean, I'm 47, so it kind of reflects where I came from and what I was seeing my future as I kind of head towards 50 and what's there for me as a gay man. And I think, we learn something like 40% of readers of Bear World Magazine are over 40. So, we speak to that age range anyway, and we wanted to kind of redefine it and make sure it wasn't just men only. I think, everything we do beyond Bear World is aimed at everybody in the LGBT community.
And you just started a new website as well that I find really fascinating. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Gamingmag.com?
Yeah.
Is that the one? Yeah, I work with a business partner, a guy called Robin Gray. He's our editorial director and my business partner on Bear World Media, and he found an opportunity in London through the trade bodies of the gaming community and the gaming industry there to create something that was a solution to the issues around the experience of LGBT people in the gaming world, specifically kind of the bullying in the live chat rooms or the live games where people can actually talk to each other even if you're on the other side of the world. There's been some movement in the game manufacturers or the game creators to create an opportunity for you to play as a man and a woman, or therefore then your interests, should that game present it, to then be kind of heterosexual or homosexual, which is great because it's great that they can do that and that they're doing that, but that needs more work, and I think it's the bullying part that's the most issue. And we just leapt on it. It was an interesting idea, and when we realized we could run at it, we did. We didn't want anybody else to take it, so we did it. And Robin, really, I have to take my hat off to Robin, who from the very beginning of that idea has basically crafted it. He's the true founder of that magazine, even though it falls under our umbrella. He's the editor and really makes it work. So I'm very proud of him for that.
So through Bear World Media also, now you've started to develop like a TV series, and you're trying to branch off into a full-on television media. Is that right?
Yeah. We've been very fortunate that some projects land in your lap and you don't want to let them go. I mean, when I was talking about the person that was in the furry guy that was in that show, we approached him to see if he wanted to make his own show, and he very much did. And we've created a travel show around him hosting it, a guy called Justin Russo. And off the back of that, we felt that there was a need for a travel magazine, similar to what we do already, online only, but in the travel world is spectacularly telling you how you have to look to go on holiday. Clever, are you beach body ready? Lose 20 pounds before you go on vacation. And again, that kind of speaks back to the body positivity of Bear World, and that really, do we need, if I'm reading an article about visiting Madrid, I don't need to see certainly in LGBT travel, I don't need to see two kind of 21-year-olds who do not represent me.
Right.
When really I just want to learn about Madrid. It's great that 21-year-olds can go. It's great that, and I think people sell stuff, and happy people sell stuff. I'm keen to see happy people in Madrid, but it doesn't have to always be somebody that doesn't represent me. So that was part of it too. And what you'll find with the show that we created, which is called Check Your Luggage. It's a 6-episode series. Season 1 will be on Here TV around about September.
And what's Here TV?
Here TV is an LGBT television network that is on apps. It's on your phones. You can access a desktop. There's some linear broadcasting through various platforms that you might have. They've produced movies that have won Oscars. So the people behind that channel are very obviously LGBT focused, and it's become our home. It's where our TV shows will start, and then they will distribute them into Amazon Prime. So we're very excited about the prospects of that. So that's kind of what's been keeping me busy in a kind of CEO mode, is kind of getting all that kind of going.
Have you shot it yet?
We've shot some of the travel show. We've got more to film which we will be filming kind of through the rest of the summer, and then delivering it to Here TV. If we can get it edited and how we want, maybe August, but September is a kind of definite time that you'll be able to see it.
Wow.
I think it's kind of amazing that you could take there's so many types of those reality shows, travel shows, cooking shows, things like that if you can springboard a fully LGBT positive spin on them, there's so much that needs to be done. There's a lot of legwork that has to be done to really make the representation happen.
Right.
Yeah, and I think the beauty for me of where we see it is it's not so much about flag waving, as we call it. Like, it doesn't necessarily, we have a show that we feel that we want to work on, which could be hosted by a gay man, but it doesn't necessarily mean the audience will be only gay men. Sure. So we want to play around with that. If we find a project or a subject that we really are passionate about, we will leap onto it. We're ostensibly an LGBT production company within Bear World Media, but if we see something underrepresented, I think we really want to tackle that. And I think there's a lot of stories to tell about a lot of different people who are marginalized across the USA, certainly. And if we can produce it, we'll tackle it.
So you mentioned that you had something for us.
I did.
You do?
Well remembered. I do. I have a gift. A gift for the show.
If it's a picture frame, I'm leaving.
If only. Wouldn't that be funny if I had a picture of you all?
Is this
It's a flag. It's the bear flag.
What?
And I thought
Oh, man.
It's big. All
That's
right.
amazing.
So, Richard, do you want to describe what we're looking at here? Wow.
Yeah, this is a representation of the bear flag, or it's a nylon flag that you can fly.
And you're not selling it, Richard. Just say what the damn thing
no,
looks like.
no, but
it's nylon. It has a grommet on the left.
but I mean,
hang it in your car.
it's not something I made. It's not something I made.
You're the Betsy Ross of the bear community.
Okay. The bear flag was designed by a guy called Craig Burns several years ago now. And it's to represent the bear community. And what his take on this is every single bear. So you have all the color of the skins, if you like. This represents all the skin colors of bears.
How many colors are there on here?
I mean, it might not be exactly. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 7.
So it's the layout of a rainbow flag.
It's similar
but
to
the
a rainbow
colors
flag.
are skin tones.
But in his design, he would say that this should represent every single bear, and the skin color of that bear. So this should represent everybody. And then there's a bear paw just for extra
giant bear
significance.
paw in the top left.
And it's something you will see flown from all kinds of places in like Ptown and Lazy Bear, and it's and I think I think as a bear community we feel very strong with it. It's using a lot of imagery, products are made with it, and I just thought I'd want to gift it to you.
But see, that's
It's
crazy because I've
awesome.
literally never seen this image before.
I love it.
It's very cool.
It's
so
very cool. We're gonna post a photo of it. We're gonna post a photo of us with it on our Instagram,
Excellent.
and we'll post it on Facebook. And then
And
Danielle and I are gonna have to find a place to put it when the
it's
show
big.
was on.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
That's a
Love
gift from
it.
me
Thank
to you
you.
guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Oh,
A gift.
wow.
I hope everybody brings gifts after this.
Is that right?
Gorgeous.
That's amazing.
Every guest after this?
I hope so.
Notice.
So I had a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Because listen, we all live in a world where we know what's going on. We're all humans.
Do we all know what's
We
going
all
on?
know
Do
what's
we?
going on.
Can you clue me in?
We're all humans.
That's true.
I follow Bear World Magazine on Instagram. Okay? Would you like to plug the Instagram?
Bear World Mag at Bear World Mag, which is same for Twitter as well.
And I follow at Bear World Mag. And I see images that make me stop and go, I got to ask about this.
You have something?
Yeah. No, I don't have the image. But
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So I've seen photos from these parties, right?
I know what this is.
It's all these. Sometimes you get 200 bears in a giant hot tub or a giant pool. This is a thing that happens, right?
well, people have pool parties, yeah.
Sure. It's a lot of guys. We can't just. This isn't a pool party. This is a stew. There's a lot of guys.
There is a name for it. If you.
What is the name?
Bear soup.
No!
Okay, so this is the thing. I don't care who you find attractive. I don't care what your orientation is. I don't
Yep.
care what you identify as. We all know, as a human man, a big, hairy human man sweating in a jacuzzi is a big, hairy human man sweating in a jacuzzi. No matter what.
I know exactly where you're going with
Yeah.
That is gotta be some jacuzzi. What does the room smell like?
And what is the filter look like?
It's got nothing to do with your orientation. There's a lot of sweaty dudes in one pool.
this. People love a lot of sweaty dudes. That's the point.
Oh, I get it. That's a fine.
I mean, the cleaning of the filter. You're right, Frank.
That's
I mean,
what I'm
that's
saying.
Man,
that's the
That's
issue.
the thing.
You
A
know,
lot of
And
hair.
so it's a lot of hair.
It's a lot of
That's
hair.
what I look at and
It's
go,
a lot of man.
right. And I
But
go,
watch, I'm
wow.
gonna flip it now. Would you get in a hot tub with 30 women in bikinis?
Myself, I think I'd be overwhelmed.
Matt, would you?
I don't really like hot tubs.
What's the matter with the two of you?
John doesn't go in the pool.
All right, John doesn't go in pools. It was an analogy, Danielle.
We're gonna put you in the hot tub with a bunch of carrots and stuff floating around. No, I don't know. I just think
guys.
that's a big sweaty pool. That's
yeah.
what I think
well,
about.
what I mean, if that's what you think about, if that's what you think about.
And like you said, people are into it for that same reason.
I mean, I think.
It's just human biology.
I
Is
think
all I'm
if
saying.
you're at a weekend, you're in a hotel that has a pool and a hot tub, you're gonna get in it. I don't think it's like designed any craziness around that. It
I
just
just
is what
have
it
never
is.
seen
But
that many people in a pool before.
well, there you go.
I've shown pictures to Danielle, been like, look at how many people are in this pool.
You can't even slide a piece of paper between them and that thing. So I had a question about your history.
Okay.
What was it like to be you growing up in England in, I would assume, the 70s as a gay man? Or then a teenager later on in the 80s?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think my early years in the 70s, I was born in 1972, were fine. I mean, I have two older sisters. My mum and dad were married for all of my life until my dad passed away recently. So that was kind of our family makeup. 70s Britain was odd. I mean, I remember things like the Silver Jubilee when the Queen had been on the throne for 25 years and things like that. You had great grandparents and stuff. So very simple. And, as you come into your teenage years, you kind of go, then things kind of go, why am I not fancying girls? What's going on? It's very much, and I think people say, I hate the word lifestyle choice because it's not a choice. Because when you're 12 and you're a boy, you wish you could make a choice because you want to be like your friends.
Right. Lifestyle choice is like, do I want to live in a condo? That's a
lifestyle choice. Exactly. And it isn't a choice because you choose to be different. I felt anyway, and I think people, especially when I was that age, there were no Will and Graces on TV, no senators or members of parliament were out. It was very a hidden world prior to the internet. And there were a couple of gay characters on TV that were either completely stereotypical in one or other direction that you were like,
but for a comedic effect.
Not
for like that's a 3-dimensional person.
Yeah, So it really kind of kicked in as you began to, not unfortunately, I was going to say unfortunately, but because it felt unfortunate at the time, you began to fancy or find attractive your school friends, and that just
that's who you're
crazy.
Around. I mean, that's who you're with. Who are you gonna like? You like the people you know.
So yeah, but I was very lucky that I kind of went through that pretty unscathed. I wasn't really bullied, and I moved to London when I was 17 because I realized I was gay, and you couldn't be gay in the town that I grew up in. You can now. There's gay nightclubs and stuff in my hometown, but I moved to London because that's what everyone did. You moved to London to live your life.
Do you remember the first time you said it out loud?
Yeah, really. I remember my cousin is gay, and we'd written to each other about stuff. Met him at a family wedding. I kind of knew of him. We weren't close. They lived in London. We lived hundreds of miles away. And I remember going to London, I think it was on a trip, and I remember being in a party in someone's house, and someone asked me if I was gay, and I just near died. I knew I was, but to actually say it out loud. And I used to find it very odd. Like I understood kissing a man, like snogging or making out, but kissing a man on the cheek, that I remember feeling that was very weird. Like, kissing another man in a bar, hello, by kissing on the cheek that I do. We all do it now. Like, no big deal. I remember just seeing things that I'd never seen before. Seeing them as odd, not because they were wrong, but my frame of reference didn't include it then. So I remember some of those things very clearly 30 years later. But yeah.
But so now your history with bringing representation didn't start with Bear World magazine, in my estimation. Even though maybe you don't see it this way, but as I mentioned earlier, you were a TV host for a time.
For about 3 seconds, yeah.
But regardless.
Yeah, I worked with a wonderful guy called Anthony Miller. We were working in the wedding industry, and we were approached by a channel that doesn't exist anymore called Wedding TV to basically help people put their weddings together for free. Like, it was gay weddings. The law had just changed in England to what was first of all called civil partnership, which was kind of like 95% equal to marriage equality, if you like.
What year was this, Richard?
This was 2004 into 5. I think the law changed in 2004, and then I think the first civil partnerships took place in 2005. I could be a year or two out on that, but around that time. And we were approached to form a double act and kind of go and save weddings or help people find their stuff. And we looked after a lesbian couple. And
it was looked after them.
We watched them.
We helped them put their wedding together with like 2p. Like, we begged, borrowed, and stole everything we could. Free flowers. We had a free car. The Lord Mayor of Birmingham's kind of chambers were where they were married and had their reception lent to us by the city of Birmingham.
I always liked the Lord Mayor Chamberlain of Birmingham.
He was always a good guy to me.
It's amazing. It's like a mythical land what you're talking about. England's crazy. What was that guy's title?
In Birmingham, he would have been the Lord Mayor.
The Lord Mayor.
Yeah,
certain cities, the mayor of that city is a Lord Mayor. Some cities not so. Like the mayor of London is the Lord Mayor as well.
Interesting. Well, that's a whole nother topic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my first foray into kind of TV. We were hosts of that, and it aired on Wedding TV and never to be seen again. So it was
But regardless, you were saying that there wasn't that much representation on television. You at one point,
this was post Will and Grace. I mean, Will and Grace,
but it doesn't matter.
And all of that kind of era.
Even in 2019, it's still important. Every time there's a gay character on a show, So to me, even though for a short, however short amount of time you say it is, you were part of that.
Okay, well, I take that and thank you. Yeah, I guess.
And so you've been making waves as far as what you've been trying to do for years.
I guess. Yeah. I mean, I mean, I have to confess, so much of it happened by accident. Like so many people with their own kind of worlds and changing. You know, Bear World magazine happened kind of by accident. You know, falling into doing a TV show with Anthony was kind of by accident. You know, but I think, you know, for me, I'm always willing to try something new. I'm always willing to have a go.
Richard, take my phone. These are pictures from my wedding. What do you think? Just first opinions.
Oh,
just
well,
let it out.
Oh, the wedding that I was not invited to.
All right. You know, if I had got the flag in
I'm
November,
so
you would've been
teasing.
there, Richard.
I'm teasing you. I'm teasing you
It's
so
okay,
much.
Richard,
I know.
thank you.
No.
This card's really stuffed. What's in here? That's another flag. Get this guy out of here.
Stunning wife is what I'm going to say. First
Thank
of
you.
all,
Don't act so surprised,
you look pretty smart, scrubbed up and in a suit.
Thank you.
No, I've seen some pictures of your wedding, and it looked stunning. And I think the one thing that shines out from the few wedding pictures I've seen of yours is how happy you both are.
Wow.
And I think to me that's the key piece.
Also, the steak was good.
Well, there you go. But there you go.
was.
No, I mean
It was so stupid.
But again, we were wedding planners for a while before we did the show. So we did do some wedding planning, but that's a tough game, a really tough game.
Well, you told me, and I don't know, we don't have to really go into it if you don't want, but
Tell me.
you told me that when you lived in Northern Ireland, there was like the Troubles and stuff had just passed or was still going on.
The Troubles.
And you guys surpassed that.
Well, the Troubles in Ireland, I mean, again, Northern Ireland and the Troubles is a very difficult subject, and I'm possibly going to get things wrong, so please forgive me if I get anything wrong. Anthony will be the first to tell me. Anthony's from Northern Ireland, so that's why we ended up in Northern Ireland, although he's now ironically living in England. The Troubles were like, Bill Clinton had been there, and all the peace agreements had been signed, so it was relatively peaceful in Northern Ireland when I was there. And I think for us to go back, we'd been working in London, and we went back to Northern Ireland because two gay wedding planners, there's probably hundreds of them in London. We were the only ones in Belfast, in Northern Ireland.
So they didn't care if you were Christian, Protestant. You were the guys.
No, yeah, I mean, I felt that.
The only game in town.
I mean, pretty much. You know, we had a great time in Northern Ireland. People, they were very good to us. The wedding industry was very good to us there. So, but that was after the show had finished. So we'd done the show. And then we went to Northern Ireland.
So, yeah, you've been representing, as it were, for a very long time. And so you've seen the change in the way society has accepted, promoted all various different lifestyles.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that you're happy with how far we've come as a society? And how far do we still have to go? I mean, we've come pretty far. I mean, I even from being not part of the community, I look around and I go, you these days you can't turn left or right without seeing something LGBT representation,
right? Which
is great, but is it still enough?
I think the enough is not about what we get; it's about how we get it, and that it can be taken away at a moment's notice or a change of administration. I think it's not so much enough. All of it's been great. Everything that we have, every piece of rights that we have is fantastic. But, and I don't just mean this administration, this country, I mean any administration that starts tampering with anybody's rights. And let's face it, not just the LGBT community has problems with their rights in this country. So, no, I'm actually going to say it's not enough because we have to fight for it, and we have to fight to keep it. Whatever scraps of rights we get given and that we fought for could be taken away at a moment's notice. So we have to stay ever vigilant. Every Mardi Gras march really is actually a protest march because we have to prove that we exist and are not going away. And in this year of the 50th anniversary of Stonewall, we may look like we're celebrating, and we are to some degree, but it is still a protest because we still don't have full equality in this country.
But what's the problem? This is what I was trying to figure out this morning, and I don't want to sound like some sort of a warrior for a group that I don't represent, but like, what is the problem? Why do people care? Why is there an issue with equal rights? I don't understand, and I try to think of it, and it's a loaded question that we can't get into in the waning hours of our show.
We need another show for
I
this.
know,
Right.
but I was trying to think about this morning, and I was literally getting angry in the shower this morning, thinking about Why the hell do people care? I got so much going on in my life, and so do you, and so do you, and so do you, and she does too, and everybody does, that you got time to stop and think about who this person sleeps with, finds attractive?
Right.
What the hell does that have to do with you?
But because
What is it taking away? Maybe it's simplistic, but like, what is it taking away from you?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I think it comes from fear. It all comes from fear that something is going to be either taken away from the people in power or who perceive themselves to be in power. And again, I don't think that's just the LGBT community. I think that's the full people of color community who still, whilst might have rights on paper, are still treated atrociously.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, and so they may have rights on in name, but prevented in secret ways from. I think I've been learning that the black community were not getting mortgages in some kind of systematic way. That's horrendous. And I don't think any of that's gone away either. And this is what I say. It's the fear of the difference. It's the fear of. And I can't speak to those people who are fearful, but I think it comes from fear. Yeah. Fear of something. Fear of that something they're either going to lose, or losing power, or losing whatever, or just pure evangelical belief that we're wrong and abominations.
Right. Which is why your visibility is important. Because
Absolutely.
it changes the narrative, right? Because you're I don't you,
No,
Richard,
I understand.
But I think your quote unquote very existence is running counterculturally to just what has been quote unquote the status quo, or the perceived status quo, right? So do you feel like you almost have to, like, I think of a rubber band, and like it's pulled in one way, and to get it to rest center in a way that is like extremely logical, like everyone's different and we're all here together on this floating rock in space, let's just love each other, you got to pull it extremely in the other way so it snaps back to a new normal. Do you know what I'm saying? Isn't that that's the fight, I would imagine?
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that nobody in this room who is married or will marry will have the fear that the government will ever take that marriage away. I have that fear right now, as many LGBT people, that we've won it, but should something change, should administration change, should that be rolled back, or maybe I get to keep my marriage, but my LGBTQ brothers and sisters won't be able to, or something. And that's ridiculous that we won that right, and then we have to be fearful that we might lose it. And I think that's the pain and the anger, and why people say, oh, why haven't they all got equal rights? Why do they need to march through the streets? Well, it's for that very reason.
Because you could lose them.
Because we could lose our rights, or and haven't gained the full right. People can still be fired for being gay in several states in the USA.
Right.
And that's ridiculous.
Well, that's what Pride is all about, right?
Absolutely.
And now we're recording this episode. We are still in Pride Month.
Yeah.
It will be airing just out of Pride, but I think that it's so important to recognize, and it's like with everything else. It's like with Black History Month. It's like with Women's History Month. The month is great. It's the long haul that is just the most important thing.
Absolutely, and you see criticism that after the 1st of July, all the corporates will take all their posters down. And I get that criticism, but at the same time, like the month is such a focus on, in different cities do it on different weekends. But we happen to be it's World Pride this coming weekend, or will have just gone, where the whole focus will have been on Stonewall and Pride coming home. And people equate the kind of the first movement forward of LGBT rights is those first bricks thrown through the window by black trans women who went, we're sick of all these police raids when we're just trying to have a drink in a bar and be ourselves. Without them, we wouldn't have the rights that we have. Without them fighting back that fateful night, let's say. And it's moved forward, but both in America and other countries who then kind of taken that lead, and the marches in Britain and various countries. And interestingly, this weekend, with an administrative change in Brazil, with its threats to the LGBT community there, which have huge rights and a huge destination for like LGBT people for vacations, 3 million people came out on the streets for their pride to go, we ain't going nowhere. So they may be, that's the key about, you're right, about visibility. And I think the one thing I want to kind of highlight is that over the years, the more inclusion of our allies, straight people like yourselves who are prepared to be on our team to help with that is helped us move forward, I think, in some of the strongest ways in the last 20 years. brothers and sisters and parents, to be standing alongside us.
Well, you mentioned that the other day, you referred to us and our show as allies, and that meant so much to me to hear that, because very often you don't want to put yourself out front of something that you don't personally represent. Like we didn't put we have a Pride logo for our show made up. For our profiles. I haven't used it because I don't want to feel like we're being...
Use it. Please use it. If corporations across America can use it, you guys can use it. I give you permission to use it.
Well, that means...
If you want. I mean,
it means a lot. It means a lot because I want not to make it about me or us, but that's what this show is about. This show is about shining a light on everyone.
Absolutely, and I think it's a great strength that you're focusing on all kinds of stuff, all kinds of things. All different wonderful people are going to come through the show, and I think it's Pride Month. Put your flag out. I think the story you were telling me earlier, just a simple piece of visibility to an LGBT youth means more than you can imagine. More, I wonder what my life would have been like if I knew there was. I don't know. I mean, thankfully I've powered through, but I wonder what it could have meant to younger people to know that there were other adults out there living great lives who just happen to be LGBT.
Right. Or to have something like your publication.
Well, thank you. That's
and I think that's ultimately where why we chose to shine a light on it, because I think what you do is so important to your community and to a wider reach of community that you might not even realize.
Right. For the gay bear population who need picture frames.
Exactly right.
Definitely.
No, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you.
We want to thank you for coming in and sitting with us.
It's been a true
and
pleasure.
For the flag.
Yes, and for the flag, which we will wave with pride.
I mean, it's big.
It's a big flag. We got to get
bears
a
are big.
It takes
we don't
two
do.
of us to hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you're going to see us in Pride next year. Me and Frank on the front holding the
Listen
flag.
to our podcast. Our Pridecast. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Oh,
Let's
there
get
you go.
t-shirts.
The Nothing Pridecast with somebody important.
Exactly.
Richard, thank you so much. Let's get a round of applause.
Oh, you're too kind. Thank you. Thank you,
best.
everyone.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Nothing Podcast with Nobody Important, a cool side production, hosted by John Panepinto and Frank Caiati, with contributors Matt Hunt, Joe Hagopian, and Tom Zaccheo, and engineered by me, Danielle Rosefisher. Find us online at nothing-podcast.com, and be sure to rate and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever fine podcasts are distributed.
Woof.